Gentleman from California, Mr. LaMalfa, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, it's become painfully obvious in recent months how important energy and the energy supply is in all aspects of our lives here in the United States and our allies around the world. The effect of not enough energy, indeed, has been very harmful to our economy. Yet we're in a space where we have so much abundance, so much potential, and so much we were doing just before this administration came into place. Of course, we're sitting on the largest untapped oil reserve in the world, amazing enough here in the United States. We've been utilizing this properly. Instead of launching on an assault on domestic energy production, our union would be in a much better state. Of course, as we know, on the first day in office, President Biden shut down the Keystone Pipeline on and off over the years, suspended pending oil and gas leases, and halted domestic energy production, which stopped exports on liquefied natural gas to our allies overseas. We've seen how important that is when Europe has become so reliant upon Russian natural gas. Poland recently just cut off supply buying from Russia so they would be able to not be so dependent. The Germans too, other Eastern European countries. Of course, now what we've seen since all this lack of exploration, shortness of supply, is the prices have skyrocketed on everybody. It's really hurting rural America, especially with the need for farming crops, fertilizer, all the different aspects that go into food production. And that, in return, causes food shortages. So we're really putting ourselves in a bad position by having a lack of energy policy, or one that's really an anti-energy policy. Of course, we're seeing the national average for a gallon of gas up to $4.48. In California, it's getting closer to $6 on average. Now, what bothers me is that over time, do people get lulled into this as being normal? No, folks, this is not normal, and it's not necessary. It doesn't need to be this way because, as I mentioned, we have so much untapped energy in this country. From the miracle of hydraulic fracturing has made natural gas so abundant that we've been able to be a strong exporter of it. I remember not that many years ago, we were figuring out, are we going to have to find a way to have our gas imported and upgrade our ports to bring it in? No, hydraulic fracturing has made possible cheap natural gas to export to our allies, such as in Western Europe. We need to be doing much more of that so we don't have our friends, the Germans and Poland and others that are reliant upon energy coming from Russia. So with the regulatory and tax policies that have discouraged gas in production, California only produces, for example, a fraction of what it's capable of when it was once one of the leading oil and gas producing states. What would our nation look like if we were producing to our full potential? We'd probably look a lot like what we were 15, 16 months ago when we had abundancy in everything. Energy, food wasn't emptying off the shelves. We would be in a much better space. Indeed, these short-sighted policies are harming regular, everyday Americans. Food production, I can't emphasize enough. When we're running short on the shelves already, and this is before the 2022 crop has even been completely planted or come in. In my home state of California, probably half of agriculture is going to be shut down. Half of agriculture. Why? Water policy. And with that lack of water policy, all the water rushing out to the ocean in order to try and save an already missing fish or something called delta salinity, we're not going to plant half of our agriculture in our home state. And so that has effects on American food. Costs, availability, quality. Are we just going to import it all? No, it's not going to work that way. So it all strings together. It's all interrelated. With that water policy, it also negatively affects energy because we aren't going to make hydroelectric power like we can. Of course, this administration is hell-bent on getting rid of some of our dams in California and others around the West that make hydroelectric power. Hydroelectric power is CO2 free. no carbon dioxide, as well as our last nuclear power plant in California they want to shut down. CO2 free. So the energy policy on all different aspects is collapsing. Indeed, 20% of the nation's power is from nuclear source. And there's about 25% of that power is threatened that it will be shut down within the next 10 or 15 years if things aren't done to make up for that. We need an energy policy that makes sense. I yield back.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess until 2 p.m. today.